Hello everyone, myself Divya Parmar. Today is the final day of presentations. I have choose topic the production and consumptions of the culture and relation of power and culture. This is my information. Points to ponder. What is culture? What is cultural studies, production and consumptions of culture, power culture and conclusion, citation. What is culture? The set of values, conventions, or social practices associated with a particular field, activity, or societal characteristics. The culture, behavior particular to the Homo species, together with the material objects used as an integral part of this behavior. Thus, the culture includes the language, ideas, beliefs, customs, codes, institutions, tools, techniques, works of art, rituals, and ceremonies, among other elements. So, these all are the part of the culture. Uh, in human society, we can see our life is full of these elements. So, what is cultural studies? Cultural studies is a field of a theoretical, political, and empirical engaged culture analysis which was initially developed by British academians in the late of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. It is started by the British academians in the era of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. So it has been taken up or transformed by many scholars in different disciplines around the world. Cultural studies are acknowledged by today as a interdisciplinary subjects as sometimes as antidisciplinary. A cultural study is an innovative multidisciplinary field of research and teaching investigation of culture. It creates and transforms the individual experiences, everyday's life, social relation, and power. So, culture includes the individual experiences, everyday's life, and social relations. In research and teaching, the culture is understood as a human expressive, symbolical activities and distinctive ways of life. It combines the study of a social science and humanities in order to draw methods and theories from literary studies, sociology, communication studies, history, culture, anthropology, and economics. It addresses the new questions and problems of today's world. It is devoted to understand of the process in the societies and diverse group with the history, community life, and the challenges of the future. Production and consumptions of the culture. The cultural studies believes that the culture of a community includes the various aspects in economic, spatial, ideological, erotic, and a political. So, cultural studies therefore aims to include all in its ambit. It seeks to understand how to particular object acquires meaning and value in society or community. So the aspect of economical, spectral, ideological, erotic, and politicals all are the part of the society, and it is part of the culture. So how it is valued by humans in the society or community, and how especially how it valued in the literature. This is the part of the cultural studies. Culture is not a natural thing, it is a produced. Cultural studies is a interest in the production and consumptions of a culture. So culture is a not natural thing. With the birth we get, we start living in the culture, but it is not a natural. It is implied by the society, or we can say that we are learning the culture from the society. The production and consumptions of culture is linked to matters of a class who decides on what is the produced. So, as a part of a society, who is responsible, or who is deciding that what is produced in the culture, what should be produced in the culture. Matters of economy, who can afford it. So if something is decided as to be a part of a culture, so who is there to decide that who can afford it as a culture. Matters of a representation, how is the artifact or marketed or presented. So if there is any culture or any term or any system we started applying or we accepting as our culture, or we put it in a practices. So matters of a representation, how we are representing that culture in the society. The production and consumptions of artifacts depends on the ability to do so and the ways in which these artifacts have been marked and sold. In short, culture is a product that is in three parts, like made, marketed, and consumed. How the culture is made and how marketed means we are presenting that culture, and how we consumed that culture. Uh, in contemporary times, we can see the we can see the effects of the internet on the production of consumptions of culture. And so the internet's influence on the production and consumptions of the culture, creative destructions, and new opportunities. First, the technologies don't change us, they provide affordance that allows us to be ourselves, to do things we like or need to do more easily. So as a cultural part, we are doing so many things, but the aid of the technology, it can make the things very easier, and make different in the traditional way as we looking the culture. So, as the availability of this affordness, may changes behavior by reducing the cost in time or money. If we accept the internet and we can apply we can apply in the culture, that surely make some changes in our culture. Like certain activities, watching experts from movies or comedy shows, relative to others activities, watching network television. So all these things, with the help of technologies, make some change in the behavior of us, or make the change in the culture, which we as applying in the traditional way. So by technology there is some changing. The internet is moving a target, a product, not only the technological ingenuity, but the economic strategy and the political struggle. So, by the effect of the internet, we can see its effect on the economical strategy and political struggles also. What we think of as the internet in the advanced industrial democracies reflect a particular regulatory regime through the which states of allocate right to intellectual property, and through the regulation influence of the cost and potential profitably in investments in the different kind of networking and technologies. The internet is a technology that unleashes a powerful opportunities. But the realization of these opportunities is depend on the human being and their culture. So this internet technology, if we started applying or accepting in a cultural in culture, it reflect in our cultural studies. So accepting there by the internet there are so many new opportunities, but it will be a helpful only when we are accepting these opportunities in our culture, or we accepting this in our behaviors. Power culture, in a narrowly defined version of a cultural studies, the typical questions have been about the production or organization of a meaning as site of power. Cultural processes are important and interesting because they are a medium through which powerful social relationships are played out, in which possibilities for social betterment are opened for closed down. A typical way of posing power questions has been a terms of identity, especially where is identity is seen as a problematic issue and where individual and collective identities are understood as being always created under a social pressure. So in culture we can find that the relation human beings identity is depend upon the power relation of a power and culture. There is always power behind the identities. The cultural questions can be asked differently. In the culture as power issue and questions that arise from it is the idea that everyone participates, however unique, unequally in the cultural process of making meaning and fixing the shifting identities. So, by the shifting the power, there is change in culture also. Yet the best known definition of the cultural and perhaps still is dominant one in every use, tends to narrow the culture field down to a specialized, often elite, high culture practices and products which are distinguished uh, from the common culture and which are owned by the experts and privileged group. So always our culture as the uh, present as there is some power, the stage of a power which are guide us and they are give a way to represent it, our culture. Conclusion: culture can be defined as the cumulative deposit of knowledge, experience, belief, values, attitude, meanings, hierarchies, religion, notions of time, roles, spectral relations, concept of the universal, and a material object, and possessions of acquired by a group of people in the course of generations through individual and group of striving. The production and consumption of culture is interlinked with the power and culture. So we have seen that in production of consumption there are three parts. So by the position of the power, it represent the culture. This is my citation. Thank you.
Yes, questions from Vachalta.
Divya, my question is what is the role of ideological aspect in cultural studies?
So the role of ideological aspects is that in cultural studies we see the contemporary and history of the society or the culture. So ideological aspects work on that what should be make the what are the problems and what should be the solutions of that. So the ideological aspect works in that context.
Divya, my question to you is that how do you think that need and production are controlled by power structure in culture? So, what is your opinion on that, please?
If we see the culture, like we are living in a democratic society, so as a human being uh, uh, we are not free to do whatever we want. There are some binaries to do anything. So when we see in the context of a culture, the production some rules and some regulations or something which is decided by the person who is in the power or who is in the stage that he tells or give ideas to people how to behave, how to accept the things, and how to make it in their behaviors. So these all things are controlled by power. There is freedom, but when we see as the context of a culture, we are not as much free, and the culture is always the controlled by the power.